Luka Mijatovic just can't seem to stop generating insanely fast swims lately. A month ago, he obliterated his best time in the 500-yard freestyle with a time of 4:08:57. He's still only 16 years old, and yet that time would currently rank first in the NCAA this year and would have finished fourth at last year's NCAA championships. But of course, many see a real swimmer's test as what they can do in long course. But thankfully, Mijatovic was competing at the US Open, where he was about to put his speed on full display, beating some of the fastest swimmers in the world and breaking a 23-year-old record in the process. I already talked about Mijatovic's first swim of the meet, but it bears repeating here. In the 400 freestyle, he dropped almost half a second off of his best time and 15-16 national age group record with a time of 3:45:30. Mijatovic's old record was already faster than the 17-18 national age group record, and now that he's improved it, that's even more true. A 3:45:30 is a time that isn't just fast for a 16-year-old, it makes Mijatovic one of the fastest swimmers in the world in this event. That time would have placed 7th out of the prelims during this summer's World Championships, earning a spot in the final. And while Mijatovic is still outside of the top rankings for the fastest swimmers in history worldwide, he does rank as the 13th fastest American all time in this event, regardless of age. After the 400 freestyle, Luka Mijatovic added another personal best time and runner-up finish at this meet, this time in the 400 IM, where he tied with Baylor Nelson for second behind Carson Foster in a time of 4:15:91. That undercuts his old best time of 4:16:18 from last summer's national championships. Mijatovic remains the fourth fastest swimmer in the 15-16 age group in this event, as he inches a little bit closer to Foster's record. But Mijatovic's most impressive swim came on the final day of the meet, where he would swim his way to a huge personal best and break a record that is a number of years older than he is. Entering this meet as the 7th seed in the 800 freestyle, Luka Mijatovic was positioned in lane 2 of the fastest heat for a little bit of outside smoke. At the very first wall, Mijatovic turned as the leader of the field, and while oftentimes the first leader in a distance race doesn't stay at the front for long, Mijatovic held on to his lead as the race went on and gradually extended it. At the 200-meter turn, he was leading Carson Foster by a full second. At the 400-meter turn, Mijatovic split a time of 3:52:42 as he was leading Ilya Suburtsev by nearly 2 seconds. Suburtsev had taken the win in the 1500 earlier in this meet, so Mijatovic leading him by this amount is very impressive. At this point, Mijatovic was holding his lead over Suburtsev by a similar amount on every wall, but just like the 400 free, Mijatovic had a very fast closing split as he increased his lead over the final 50 meters and touched the wall in a blistering 7:48:28 to win this event. That swim does a couple of things for Luka Mijatovic. Firstly, that is a huge personal best for him, as his old personal best set over the summer was 7:53:80, so this swim ends up being a personal best by around 5.5 seconds. It's also a time that would have earned Mijatovic a spot on the world's team roster in this event. That is especially notable because in 2025, Team USA only sent Bobby Fink to represent them in Singapore. That's because he was the only American that actually met the World Aquatics A cut time of 7:48:66. Runner-up Rex Maurer just missed it with a time of 7:49:53. So Mijatovic's time here would have both placed second at trials and actually been fast enough for him to swim the event at Worlds. But one of the most impressive outcomes from this swim is that Luka Mijatovic has finally broken the 15-16 national age group record set by Larson Jensen all the way back in 2002. 23 years ago, or 7 years older than Luka Mijatovic. Jensen's record stood at 7:52:05, so after just missing it over the summer, Mijatovic has now come along and smashed that time. Mijatovic would also rank as the 3rd fastest swimmer of all time in the 17-18 age group, and he is now also the 12th fastest American swimmer of all time, regardless of age. While all of these times out of Mijatovic are very impressive, I'm almost actually equally impressed that he is able to swim these times in a fairly stacked field. In the 400 freestyle, he was shoulder to shoulder with some incredibly fast 400 swimmers, like Luke Hobson and Carson Foster, and managed to break away from them down the final stretch in an attempt to chase down Leon Marchand as he went on to win that event in a very fast time. And in the 800, Mijatovic was able to control the race from beginning to end, taking the lead right away and not letting anyone pressure him, and then still dropping the hammer on the final 50 to extend his lead at the very end. Mijatovic is certainly no stranger to racing tough fields. He just had to do that in order to earn a spot on the World's team last summer, but him getting another chance to do that here and doing that successfully is a very good sign for him going forward. Luka Mijatovic just seems to keep dropping time over and over again, getting faster and faster. It's only December, and there's a chance we can see him post even more insane times once the 2026 long course season rolls around. Which swim out of Mijatovic was your favorite at this meet? Let me know down below.